Alright, so this is going to be a little tutorial on doing the 5E shaped character sheets for my players. Just because it seems like some people aren't very experienced either with Roll20 in general or with these sheets particularly. So I'm just going to run through a quick character creation using the new sheets so that you guys can kind of see it in action and get an idea for how I'm wanting the character sheets to be formatted and to look. So let's go. So I'm just going to create a character sheet here, and we won't worry about the character's name. Alright, so for the purposes of character creation, we will start with the settings tab and get all the back-end stuff set up first. So when you want to edit the sheet, you click on the pencil. You don't necessarily have to do that for the settings. The settings you can do regardless, but go ahead and click it anyway just to make sure it's already there. Alright, so we'll just start up here in the top right and then work our way down and toward the right. So first you've got the output. Don't change anything there, that's perfect. The initiative box is good, except we're going to check off break ties. Basically what that will do is when you roll initiative, instead of if you roll a 3, instead of it just being 3, it'll be 3 dot your dexterity score. That way if you and somebody else rolls a 3, your dexterity score will break the tie. It's just a nice little thing to have there. That way there's no, well, who gets to go first? It's just, it'll tell us. Dice system D20, that's perfect. All of this is good. We don't recover hit dice on a short rest, so leave that blank. 3 death saving throw chances. Critical damage. Critical damage is maximized. Now this is just for my game in particular. This is not a standard thing. Normally in 5th edition when you roll a crit, you just roll the damage dice twice. For my games, because if you roll a crit, I want it to be a little bit more epic than that. It never fails to amaze me when somebody rolls a crit and then both damage die are like a 1 or a 2. You know what I mean? Like they roll a crit and they do 2 damage or 4 damage or something. So what we're going to do is for critical damage, we'll do critical damage is maximized. And what that will do is whenever you roll a crit, instead of rolling 2d6, like if let's say your normal damage is a d6, and instead of rolling 2d6, it'll roll a d6 plus 6. So you'll automatically get the full value of 1 die, and then you'll just roll a second one. That way the damage is always there. Proficiency dice we're not going to use. That's basically just instead of you getting like a +2 proficiency bonus, +3 proficiency bonus, it'll add a die. So instead of +2, it's a d4. Instead of +3, it's a d6, and then so on and so forth. We're not doing psionics. If you're playing one of the Matt Mercer classes, the Blood Hunter or something like that, then you'll check custom classes and it will let you kind of factor that in. I don't believe we have any other custom classes that I'm allowing at this point, so I'm not going to worry about checking that. Expertise is advantage, no thank you. Let's see, we're not using honor or sanity for this game. Multiple inspiration, check that. One thing that I do whenever I'm running games is I allow you to have multiple inspiration, so the DM inspiration, and it's good for 2 things. The way that I do DM inspiration is you can spend your inspiration to re-roll, and I do it for anything. It's a damage roll, attack roll, save, check, whatever. If there's a dice roll attached to it, you can expend an inspiration, and re-roll that die. And then you have to take the new roll. Or you can stockpile the inspirations, which is why we do the multiple inspiration. You can stockpile them, and once you reach 10 inspirations, you can trade those in to purchase a feat. That way, you kind of have a little edge in there. You can kind of boost yourself up a little bit better, and it's kind of your choice. You can either use them to re-roll, or you can stockpile them and trade them in later on for a feat, something that you took your ability score, but you really wanted this feat on the side. Save up your inspiration, trade it in for a feat later. So we'll check that. Let's see, character name on all roll templates, yes. It's just a personal preference. It has no real value mechanically, outside of it just helps clean up the chat log. If people are rolling multiple attacks or whatever, and I need to scroll back up and see, who did this, who did what. It's just easier to keep track if the character name is right there on the template. Targets AC on attacks, that is entirely up to you guys. We're not going to check it off. It's not something that I require. Basically what it does is when you roll your attack, and instead of just automatically rolling, it'll ask you to click on the token of whoever you're attacking. Which is cool. It'll show on there, because it'll auto show everything for you. So like if you're going up against a bandit, and a bandit has, 14 AC or whatever, when you click on the token and the attack rolls, it'll say, 20 versus bandit AC 13. Hit. Blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do that. I don't typically do that just because, one, I like making you guys have to figure out what the AC is through process of elimination. Also, just because if you're just rolling a blanket attack, like let's say you're trying to attack the door and I don't have a token for the door, you won't be able to attack it because you won't have anything to click on for the attack to go through. So little things like that, kind of annoying. Let's see. So the only thing for the roll template box is character name on all roll templates. Custom gold values, we'll just keep that standard. Measurement systems, feet and pounds, that's fine. We're actually going to turn weight off in a minute. Alright, the hide info, we don't need to hide anything. You can leave all of those unchecked. Passive skills, yes. So check the box for passive skills. Basically what that does is when you get back over here, over to the right of your skills, it'll just have a flat number for your passive. Your passive is 10 plus whatever the bonus is. So if you have a 4 and plus 4 bonus to intelligence, then your let's see, your history would be your passive history would be a 14. 10 plus the 4. And so that'll just show up over here. And then that just kind of gives me a better idea of kind of who can do what passively, as far as like passive perception. So if your wisdom is a +4, your passive perception is a 14. You walk into a room, there's a guy hiding in the corner. You're not actively looking for him, so I'm not going to have you do a perception check. But if your passive perception is higher than their stealth roll, then I'll point out, hey, you notice this guy in the corner, without needing to do a roll for it. So turn the passive ability scores on. Weight, uncheck. So I am not a big fan of keeping track of weight. That's just more work for me to keep up with. That's just me trying to keep up with the weight capacity of 5-6 players is kind of obnoxious. Use common sense. Obviously, you're not going to be running around with 4 great swords, a crossbow, and a longbow on your back. Use common sense as far as that goes. Utilize things, purchase a cart, if you can, purchase a bag of holding, whatever, and then utilize that stuff. So yeah, I'm not really going to be keeping track of weights. You can uncheck that, and then that way it won't have to worry with all the encumbered, heavily encumbered, all that nonsense. Let's see. Emote, free text, free form, doesn't matter. Okay, check on crit range. Well, depending on what you're doing. If you're a fighter and you're going champion and you're going to get the expanded crit range, you're going to want to check that box. It will let you expand the crit range when you're plugging in the attack. Extra on a crit. You can check that if you want to. We won't really be doing anything with it. Basically what that does is allows you to add a set bonus. So whenever you're plugging in the attack, so for instance, you go over here to offense and attack. So whenever you're plugging this stuff in, well, screw you too. We'll look at that later. So whenever you're going to plug it in, you'll put in like the attack information, and then it'll have a section for crit range. You'll do like 15 or 9 or 20, whatever. Whatever your crit range is. And then extra on a crit, there's a little box for you to put in like a 5 or a 2, and it would just automatically add a +2 anytime you get crits. We're not going to do that. Like I said, we maximized critical damage, so it'll automatically do whatever the maximum value of the damage die is, and then add the extra damage that way. So we're good there. So the only thing, if you're a fighter and you're going champion, you're going to get an expanded crit range, check the crit range box. If not, just leave it blank. Nobody else is going to get that. Let's see, features, automatic higher level queries. Yes, basically what that does is when you cast a spell, it's going to give you a little pop-up asking you if you want to cast it at a higher level. And then you just choose, click a little drop-down menu, say, yeah, I want to cast it at 4th level. So it'll go through and auto-calculate the damage and everything as if you would cast that as a 4th level spell for you. So have that checked. As far as the API, automatically use ammo, revert disadvantage, expend spell resources. You can leave those blank because I don't have the API set up for those, so it's not going to matter. Alright, and then the last thing over here on roll, I always do roll 2. That way you always have an advantage or disadvantage roll built in, and we don't have to clutter up the chat log with multiple rolls for one attack, or one saving throw or ability check or whatever. So we'll do roll 2. And when you've got roll 2, it'll just show up like this. So whenever you roll it, it'll show 2 numbers here. The first number is the standard, so if you don't have advantage or disadvantage, you take the first number. So without advantage or disadvantage, my Arcana check is a 13. If I have advantage, I take whichever number is higher, so the 14. If I have disadvantage, I take whichever number is lower, so the 13. And then again, if there's neither disadvantage or advantage, we just take the first number, which is the 13. Okay. That takes care of the settings sheet. Alright, so going back over here to the core page, we're basically just going to go through and do this just follow the flow of the character sheet. So we're going to pick a name, apparently Egil Ahel. I mean, I like it. Why not? We'll keep Egil Ahel. That is our character's name. We are, let's go with a, oh nice, they've got the revised ranger built in now. Let's go with a barbarian. Why not? Okay. We'll just start at level 1. We don't have a casting ability. Our background, I don't know, let's just go Outlander. I know that one pretty much by heart at this point. Our race, I'll go dwarf. I'll go mountain dwarf. I'm a mountain dwarf barbarian. Alignment, whatever. Our size is medium, we're dwarf. Alignment, whatever. We're cool. My alignment is super cool. Alright, now for your ability scores, so I have the macro built in for that. So you'll go to the, up here, to the, looks like little bulletin points, and there will be a macro for you already that says new character. You won't have all these. The only one that I shared with everyone is the new character, so you should only have one in there. So you're going to go over here, and you're going to check the box that says in bar. And what that's going to do is it's going to add a button down here in your macro bar. Alright, so then you just come over here, you click the button, new character. Alright, it's going to generate 3 different stat groups, and you choose the one that you like best. I am going to go with stat group number 2. So 17, 17, 14, 13, 12, and 10. We're a barbarian. So let's go with... We'll do 17 strength, 17 dex, 14 con, 13 wisdom, go 12 charisma, and 10 intelligence. Okay. Now the reason I'm doing it this way, well, that doesn't really matter, because I'm not actually building a real character. Okay, so then I'm a mountain dwarf, so strength is 2 and con is 2, so that becomes a 19. That becomes a 16. Cool. I am a barbarian, so I have unarmored defense. Now this sheet will automatically plug this stuff in for you as you level up. So it's already got that built in. So I have unarmored defense. So my AC is 10 plus dex plus con, so it's a 16. It's already there. First level is a 12 plus con mod, so 12 plus 3 is 15, so I have 15 hit points at first level. So we'll plug that into the little heart up here for HP. My speed is 30. I am a dwarf, so I have 60 feet of dark vision. Alright, my saving throws are already calculated, strength and dex, right here. Let's see. Alright, so skills. Barbarian, I think you get 2 skills. We'll just go with athletics and intimidation. Outlander, I believe. Actually, I think Outlander gives you athletics. So let's go with survival. Which, okay, well, you get that from Outlanders. Alright, so Outlander's going to give me athletics and survival, so I'm choosing intimidation and stealth. Why not? Where is, what? Why is there no stealth? I'm confused. Huh. Interesting. Well, let's add stealth real quick. That's weird. Alright, and stealth. So those are my 4 skills. It's green, which means I'm proficient. If I click it again, it turns yellow, which gives me expertise. And then I click it a 3rd time, it clears everything out, and it's just the base. So click it once, turns it green, gives me proficiency in that skill. Alright, so now I've got my ability score set, I've got my saving throws set, got my skills set, my proficiencies are already plugged in. Languages, I know Common and Dwarvish. Alright. Let's see, so my weapon, I've got a great axe. So what I'm going to do for the weapon, we have the compendium. So you're going to go above the chat log. You've got the icon, it's a dark circle with an eye in the center. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to go down to items. And it's going to bring up a list of all the items available in the compendium. And we are going to scroll down to find a great axe. Here we go. So great axe. What we're going to do is we're going to drag and click, or click and drag rather. So click and drag over here, and then drop it, and it's going to automatically calculate the weapon statistics for us. So it's a melee weapon attack. I get a +6 because it's 4 plus the +2 proficiency, plus strength. Damage is a 1d12 plus strength, and we're good. So then we just click the little yellow cogwheel here, and we're good. That is saved. I get some javelins, so let's go down here. Javelin. So we'll drag a few javelin. We'll just drag javelin over, and we're good there. It'll automatically, if it has the thrown property, it'll add it twice, once for melee and once for thrown. Which is pretty nice. And then down here, you got a little ammo slot. So javelins can be thrown. We've got, we'll say 5 of them. So I just change 5 uses javelins. The same thing will happen if you use a bow. So like let's say I decided to go longbow. Drop a longbow in here. Alright. It'll automatically add arrows as an ammo, as a form of ammo. So we get a quiver of 20 arrows, and boom, I've got 20 arrows there. Alright, so that is the offense and ammo box. Next we have the utility box. It's basically equipment that is utility. Potions, rope, crowbars, that kind of thing. Anything that can be used during the role play of the game. So, for instance, we'll say oil. Oil is something that can be used. We'll throw oil over here. It's classified as adventuring gear. Comes in a clay flask, holds 1 pint, blah 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 blah. It'll automatically fill out all the info. And so basically what I'll do is if I get my Explorer's pack, I will fill up the utility with everything that's in that Explorer's pack. That way I have it right there. You can click on it. So like if you're ever like, hey, I want to use oil, click on it, and boom, there's the oil. And it kind of goes through and tells you everything that you can do with your oil. Let's see. Probably confusing the hell out of Miles right now. So below the utility, you've got the equipment tab. That's just going to be for like generic equipment, your traveler's clothes, any pendants you have, any jewelry, anything that's not like a utility that you're carrying around. You'll throw in there. The next tab is for armor. So our Barbarian has an armor defense, but if you were going to add armor, just hit add. Go back to the compendium. Let's say we're going to do Mithril Armor, because why not? So we throw Mithril Armor in there. Changes our armor to 13. Why? Because that's just what it does. We're better off with our unarmored defense. So we're going to modify and delete that. Bada bing, bada boom. Your gold, your starting wealth, whatever. So whenever you rolled the stats, right here, so it'll generate starting gold for you. This particular campaign, people are starting at level 4. So you'll take the initial wealth that you get from your background. So whenever you're looking at your background, it tells you what equipment you get, and it'll say a pouch containing 10 gold, whatever. So you'll take that, but then you'll also add to that the starting gold that you roll. It's a D50, so you could start off with 1 extra gold or 50 extra gold, depending on how you roll that, or how that's rolled. For us, it's 12. I believe the Outlander starts with like 5 gold, I think. We'll run with that. So I've got 17 gold, so over GP, just going to put in a 17, and I've got 17 gold. Bada bing, bada boom. Personality traits, I'm awesome. Ideals, I'm super awesome. And I can't spell. Bonds, I help awesome people. Flaws, NA. Modifiers, that's basically nothing that we're going to use. It's basically if you just want to add like a generic modifier. So like damage, you check damage. And with a melee weapon, it's always going to do these bonuses. With ranged weapon, it's always going to do this. With a spell, it's always going to do this. Or you can do a flat weapon or just a flat damage. Anytime damage is rolled, it's automatically going to add these bonuses. We're never going to do that, so don't worry about it. Leave that blank. Exhaustion, that's just if you get exhaustion, you can add the level in there. So we have 2 exhaustion, whatever. Alright, racial traits. So this is where you're going to go in and kind of do the most work. Your racial traits, you're just going to hit add. And then in the title, you'll just type in whatever it is. So we'll say racial trait 1. You're going to click on the cogwheel. And then in the content box, you're going to type in what the trait is. So for instance, typically what I'll do, I've got a PDF of my handbook. So we will go over here to races. We're a mountain dwarf. Typically what I'll do is just copy and paste it into the box and then just kind of tweak the format so it looks nice. So we'll do Dwarven Resilience. So copy and paste. Alright. So we are resistant to... Alright, we have advantage on saving throws against poison, have resistance against poison damage, blah 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 blah. Once that's plugged in, you just hit the little cogwheel and it saves. And then you'll just kind of go through and do that for each trait. Blah 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 blah. Alright, now if it's something that gives you, you can do it once per day, or once per short rest, or whatever the case may be. You can go over here to uses, and we're going to say you can do it once per day, so we're going to hit 1 for uses, 1 per use, and let's say it refreshes on a short rest, short or long rest. So I currently have 1 out of 1 uses. If I use it, it's 1 per use and then short rest. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use my racial trait number 2. And that uses it for my 1 short rest. It doesn't always update immediately. Sometimes you have to close the sheet out and go back in. Okay, or it doesn't update at all. Whatever. But basically you can kind of go in there, so you can, once you've used it, you can go in and edit it. So I now have 0 out of 1 uses until I take a short rest. And I know that. So then you've got your classes. Like I said, the primary class features will automatically go in for you. You won't have to do anything with that. So like when you hit the level, I think it's level 3, you get reckless attacks. So, or it might be 2 actually. Let's see. Yeah, so level 2, I upgrade my Barbarian to level 2, and it automatically highlighted Danger Sense and Reckless Attack for me. And added them down here. So really with the class skills, until you get into the archetypes, you don't really need to add anything in there. Feats, that should be pretty self-explanatory. If you get a feat, you hit add, you type in what the feat is, and content, all of that. So feat, we'll just say feat 1, content, blah, 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 blah. And done. Traits. Traits is going to be pretty much anything else that's not a class, racial trait, or feat. Usually I'll put the background feature there. So the background feature I think is Wanderer for the Outlander. And content. Cool. Alright, so the main page is filled out. So I've got my ability scores. My proficiency bonus is automatically calculated. My saving throws are automatically calculated. I've added my skills. My proficiencies, my languages, my armor class is done automatically for me. And Dex plus Con. So my armor class is automatically done based on what I have in my armor. I've done my hit points for first level. We'll go ahead and do hit points for second level. We're going to roll it. 14. Nice. So we have 29 hit points at second level. Not too shabby. Alright, so we've got our hit points. My initiative is automatically calculated, and my hit dice is automatically calculated. We'll go ahead and upgrade that to 2. So we have 2 out of 2 hit dice that we can use. My speed is 30. My dark vision is 60. I've added my weapons. I've updated the ammo values. I've added my utility equipment. I've added my regular random equipment. We'll say jewelry. That's not how you spell. So we've added our random equipment, we've added our armor, we've updated our gold, our personality trait, our ideal, our bond, our flaw. We're not touching modifiers. We are not starting with exhaustion, so we're not going to touch that. We've added our racial traits in. We've updated our class. We've added any feats that we have. And we've added our background feature as a trait. And that is how we will do the character sheets. If you have spells, you just come over here and click on spells, and you have a spells tab up here. So cantrips, you're just going to click on the actual cantrips button right there, and then hit add, and then type in whatever the thing is, or you can go to the compendium, close that out, and then go to spells at the bottom, and you can drag and drop spells in as needed. And so you got your cantrips, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. And you can kind of filter that out however you want to. You could say, I only want to see spells that are casting time of 1 action. So you just, deselect reaction, bonus, and longer, and it'll only show you spells that have a 1 action casting time. You can click on just bonus and show only things that are used as bonus actions, and etc. So you would add your spells in there. Once you add them in, they'll pop up on the little tab here, and you can click on them. So that is everything. That takes care of the core sheet and the spell sheet. Another thing, when you're doing your spells, you'll go over here to ability and choose whatever your, if you're a sorcerer, charisma, paladin, charisma, if you're a druid, wisdom, whatever. So you'll select that, and then it'll automatically calculate your save DC and your spell attack bonus. So that will be done for you. Equipment we've done. Features, you're good. Your character, this is kind of an optional thing. You can type in your backstory here, any miscellaneous notes that you want to do, like your allies, or if you're part of a faction or anything like that, you can put in there, or just game notes if you want to put game notes in there. Gender, age, height, weight, all of that. I mean, you're going to tell us all of that information when we do character intros, so fill it out if you want to, but I'm never going to look at it. And that is a quick run through, or I guess a semi-quick run through. How long was that? That was a 36-minute run through of building a character using the shaped 5e sheet in Roll20. Alright, hopefully that helps you guys out. I'm in Discord if you have any questions. Again, this was primarily for the players in my Clinmore game. So, I mean, hopefully it helps anybody out, but this particularly was to help them out. So, if you guys have any questions, hit me up and let me know. Bye-bye.